What we do here is go back.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're here again for another week of the Oldy Gaming Podcast. Excuse you. I'm Oldy Gaming, your host, as usual. With me are our two co-hosts, Sharky and the Funky Bunch, and Cano Crisco. As you can see, this week is different. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and say what you'd like to say.
How's it going, guys?
As you can see, it's a little bit different this week. I actually added nameplates for everyone. There's Crisco's, Sharky's, mine. So everyone knows who we are if you're new to the bunch. Also, I have a quick announcement to make. On Tuesday, I'm super excited to announce that I'm getting a new microphone and a mixer, and it's a lot higher end than the one that I have now. And the sound quality is going to go through the roof, and I can't wait to set it up. And if you really want to see how good it is, come watch the stream more often during the week. On Tuesday, hopefully right when I get off work, I'm going to be installing it as long as it's here. It may take until 8 o'clock, but it usually doesn't. So I'm going to be installing it. Hopefully I'll be on in like 7 or ish. Also, I have not sent the posters out, and I'm going to tomorrow. That's all I have to say is I'm going to tomorrow, and the reason being is because I got to thinking, and first of all, I was going, if you follow me on Twitter, I was going to send them in those like big oversized envelopes with bubble wrap in it. And I don't think that was a very good idea, so I decided not to. And I went out on Saturday to Office Max and got some tubes, some mailing tubes. So I grabbed those. And by the time I got everything together, everything had closed because it was Saturday. The post office was closed at 2 and UPS was closed at like 5. And I also threw a little special thing in there for you guys too. So that's why I didn't get it done. But tomorrow, right after work, I am going to go right over to UPS and send those guys out to you. Probably going to do like ground shipping or whatever the cheapest shipping is because I don't want to spend a bunch of money on it. But yeah, they should be out to you guys pretty soon. So yeah, this week, if you haven't been paying attention to anywhere, you wouldn't know that Destiny 2 gameplay reveal was on Thursday? One of the day this week. The Destiny 2 gameplay reveal was broadcasted on Twitch, shot everywhere on Twitter. And mainly what we're going to do on this episode is cover Destiny 2. Real quick, it comes out in September. There's going to be a beta. There were not new classes. It's still Titan, Hunter, Warlock. But the class abilities are going to be a little bit different. Mainly the supers. I think the grenades seemed pretty similar to what they used. But everything else other than that, like strikes and like everything that, we're going to go over that this episode. Are we ready? You guys didn't watch the reveal, did you?
No. It's the reveal, but I watched all the videos that came out.
So I watched the reveal at work, and let me tell you, it was pretty freaking hype. It was awesome. They did a really good job with it. And it was in LA, and they had a bunch of people fly out to watch it, and everyone there was super excited, you could tell. And so were the speakers and everything like that. They just had in-house, I guess you could say, like Bungie speakers for it. And then they showed a bunch of videos of it, and it was pretty awesome. And the people there got to play a strike and PvP, and I think like the first mission of the story, which they did release. GameSpot and IGN did release some videos on that, but we'll get to that later. First of all, we're going to start with the PC end. It doesn't use dedicated servers. It's going to be peer-to-peer, which I mean, that kind of thing has worked in the past, but we'll see how it is. And the minimal requirements are going to be way less than you think. Also, it's 4K compatible. Those three things kind of go together in one little thing, and we're going to start with that. So what do you guys think about dedicated servers as opposed to having one large server?
I mean, I know when it comes down to like to doing like the raids and stuff, it's nicer to have dedicated servers, only for the reason that like it's nicer to have like a smaller pool as opposed to everything else, just because at that point, like, you don't really care what's going on in the rest of the world, because like those 6 people are the only people that matter at that point in time.
Right.
So I mean,
that's what I was just right when I said that, when I was saying going over that, I was just thinking like, now there can't be a huge, no one can play because their server is down or whatever, because it's more reliant. I mean, obviously there's other servers that they deal with, and those can go down, but most of the time you're not going to have like outages due to their servers being down, their NA server or their EU server or whatever.
Yeah, because I know too, like it wasn't necessarily a problem once they got it figured out, because it was like they fixed it pretty quickly. But like, I mean, thinking back to playing Destiny, there are definitely times where I remember like we'd be in the middle of a raid, and then all of us would get booted back to the home screen, and then like literally you look online and like everyone's Destiny crashed for, and I mean, it would only be down for maybe like a half hour or an hour, but like sometimes that half hour or an hour is like all the extra time that you really had anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. As long as it runs the same as it did last time, I don't really have a preference.
The only problem I really have with it is recently, if you've been in the stream, I bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and that game also has peer-to-peer servers in multiplayer. And sometimes the game can choose a crappy server, a person that, it doesn't have a good connection to everyone else. And that just kind of throws the whole entire game off. But I mean, if you're going to be raiding and stuff like that, you can kind of trick the game into switching servers, or like you can go into someone else's game, like have someone else start a game and invite everybody into the game. So I mean, there are ways around that, but especially on PvP, there aren't. It automatically picks the best server, or if someone stays in a PvP game long enough, they might become this best person to server, and that can kind of get a little iffy. But we'll see. I don't really play too much PvP, and I haven't looked at the gameplay of the PvP, and I'm probably not going to because I don't really want to spoil too much stuff. But we'll see how it works. Sharky and the Funky Bunch, what do you have to say?
Oh, you guys pretty much covered anything I was going to say about it. But my only thing is, like how you're saying, is you just have to worry about the kind of connections what everybody's going to have, and some people will connect to other people better than other people. So I don't know. It's all going to be how they have it set up and how their specific settings are going to be set up for it.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see. So especially for PC, because I think they're putting a lot of time in PC and stuff like that to make sure it's going to be finished when it comes out, to where it's not, especially because they know how popular all the PC gamers and stuff like that, how anal retentive they are about how their game's being finished and everything ready to go. So I think they'll have it all mostly fixed. I think there might be a couple bugs, but
speaking
about all get fixed with beta.
Speaking about the release on the PC, I'm pretty sure last week they at that point in time they were saying that the PC version was going to be later than the Xbox and PS4. I think they came out and they said that it's actually going to be on time, or they're working really hard for it to be on time.
Oh, I was to say one of the articles we saw said it still might be released later.
Yeah,
they're working.
They did that last year, and that's been the trend. I feel like as of late, like all of the the big titles now, it seems like they all come out on console first, and then like a month later they come out on PC. So I mean, it's not that big a deal.
I don't think it'll be a month though. If it goes to PC, I think it'll be like a week or two or something like that, just to kind of so they can focus on one, make sure it's all ready to go, and then focus on the other big ones. So.
Have to kill all their birds at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, because one of the articles that we had, actually it was this article that we're on, it says, the previously announced September 8th release date for Destiny 2 may not apply to the PC version. So.
Maybe we'll get it sooner.
Yeah, and it's going to operate through the Blizzard launcher app.
Yeah.
Formerly known as Battle.net.
I think it's still known as Battle.net. Isn't it?
Right now,
yeah.
Yeah, mine still says Battle.net.
Mine does.
It's switching eventually to just like the Blizzard app or whatever, but
like the icon says Blizzard, but it's named Battle.net, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I remember, I'm thinking back, I don't know if you were on the streams when we talked about it. It's been a while, but I know that Blizzard was talking about changing the name of their app from Battle.net to just like the Blizzard app or something.
Mm-hmm.
So also a part of this little section here, we were going to talk about the the requirements for PC. It doesn't actually have it on this article. I think this week I'm going to spend some time and actually post all of the articles in the description of the videos that we're going to go after. And I'm going to post this specific article that we're looking at. There is a PC Gamer's interview of it, and I believe that's going to go over the like specific specs, minimum specs that you have to have, because I was hoping that it was going to be in this article that we're already looking at, but I don't think it's here. So I'm not going to go through this article right now, but I will put them in, at least that article that I'm speaking on behalf of right now. I'm going to put that in the description for sure. And yeah, but it's also going to be 4K compatible, which is huge for, I know, a lot of people, and it's going to make the game look so good. I unfortunately can't do 4K because my rig isn't good enough for that, and I don't think any of us here can either, but I know there are people out there that are going to be super stoked about 4K gaming for this game.
And I was going to say, and the big thing too is, although based on the article, Destiny doesn't need like the highest end specs to run well, I know the one big thing that I read, we don't have the article here, the one that I read, but Bungie's actually for PC, they are taking out any sort of like frame rate caps and any sort of like quality caps. So you can literally, like, if you've got a rig that can run it, like, where, like, you know, if you're doing stuff to like to actually really like push your PC and run it at its like beyond highest level, like they're not going to stop you from doing it. Obviously, if you don't have the technology, you probably shouldn't, because you could very easily break your computer. But for the people that can, like, it's going to be awesome for them, because they're just going to push their PCs like probably farther than they should go, but the game's going to run at 4K just without a like a hitch at all.
Right.
The only thing from this article before we move on, I don't know if you're getting ready to move on from the article too. Just, it was like a little tidbit like we were talking about earlier. Is they were talking about, like, for the people that are thinking about moving from console to PC or whatever like that, they're saying like none of the gear is going to transfer, which nobody thought the gear was going to transfer anyways. But they're saying that the appearance would actually transfer from when you go from like console to PC and stuff like that. And then they're also saying that returning players are going to get some sort of honor, but they're not sure what that's going to be. So that's pretty cool. You can, if you want to, and you have the option of moving your character from the console over to the PC, and the appearance will look the same. You just have to get all your gear or get new gear, which everybody's gonna get new gear anyway. So and that's all I had. That's about it for me. So
I'm trying to find this link, because we're next topic, we're going to talk about the actual classes themselves, the gunslinger. Actually, no, let's not talk about that yet. Let's talk about more of the strikes and what is coming, what's new, what's not new, what's, you know, what they're keeping. Where's that one?
I think it's. Are you talking about the one with the video on it? That one's more towards the bottom.
Yeah. The 9 things you need to know, or whatever.
It's second to, like, the third to last or second to last. I don't know if it's necessarily on this list. The one thing I noticed when they were going through the gameplay video, just from looking at the UI, because I was watching it, but I didn't have the sound on. But I did notice that if you remember in the first Destiny, you had an icon for your melee, an icon for your grenade, and then the yellow bar for the super. They've obviously reworked the UI a little bit, just to make it look prettier. So, like, you still have your special bar, and you still got those 2 ability bars, but there's a third ability. I don't know how that's going to map out on the controllers, especially, because I feel like they're kind of using the buttons to, like, maximum efficiency already. I don't know how they're going to incorporate it, but it looks like now you have, like, a grenade, maybe 2 abilities, and a super. I could have been looking at it wrong, but that was my impression from watching the gameplay.
I didn't get that one. I didn't.
yeah, I don't know.
I was just concerned with the fact that the grenades seemed the same. But I mean, if you think about it, how can you really change the grenades to be different?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, every Call of...
Uh-oh.
No.
Oh, no.
Did Crisco freeze up?
Technical difficulties. Someone has potato Wi-Fi. Black screened.
Walmart wanted their connection back.
Womp, womp, womp. Oh, no!
Yep. He's fully
Look at
out.
Sharky's big face now. Half of it.
Oh, my blood.
Yep, it's half of your big face. Oh, now it's the whole thing. Is
Okay.
he's still there? All right, let's add him to call. See what that
He said
does.
his PC just crashed.
Oh, that's good.
He was talking about people killing their computers, and there he goes, kills his computer.
Yeah.
No, not Braden.
Okay. I really wasn't listening to what he was saying. I was really hoping in this article that we're looking at, it was going to be like the 9 things, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really seem like it's they're not like just listing the 9 things. But what were some of the new? I forget. I don't even remember what the new stuff in the There was some new stuff. There's old stuff like patrols, but they're adding more stuff to the patrols. What I can't remember what the areas are called though. But there are basically, it's not, you're not just going out and grabbing missions. There's like legendary areas or what, if that's what you want to call them, where you can go and fight people and get different loot. Crap.
I'm trying to look real quick.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I wasn't really looking at the video, and I don't remember from the reveal.
Because the 4 worlds are Titan, Low, Nessus, and Earth's European Dead Zone. There will still be patrols, but there will be greater emphasis on exploration, including actual towns and NPCs who give quests.
Right, and there was the one video that we were looking at. There's obviously going to be new maps. You're going to be able to go to moon. I think there's like 2 new moons, a moon for Saturn and like a Jupiter moon. And in patrol quests.
Yeah, and they said there's going to be like side quests are known as adventures, and you're discovering lost sectors.
Adventures, that's what they were called.
Yeah, adventures, yeah.
And like and then there's treasure maps. There's lost sectors. There's fighting bosses. I'm pretty sure there's going to be like world bosses too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's different from Destiny 1, where you would have like the random events. I think they're still keeping the random events. There are missions that at the end you have to fight bosses and you get chests. Yeah. So Crisco's in chat now talking to us. That's another thing that's new. The clan support. So you can there were clans in Destiny 1. I know I'm in a clan that I need to leave, but there were clans in Destiny 1, but you didn't really do anything. It was more of like an online feature, like when you're on the internet, you can join them or whatever, and maybe you can like find people through that. But other than that, it was basically, it gave you a title on your little player card, which really is nothing basically. And I think you get like gamer cards for joining a clan or something, which I don't think there were very many people that actually looked at the gamer cards. I'm sure there were, but whatever. But basically what that'll do is, instead of having random matchmaking, that's going to make it so you can find a group to actually play that like fits your play style, and you're looking for a specific type of people, like maybe casual people or whatever, or like hardcore, to play with, because you can these clans are going to be able to give a short description of what they are, and then you'll be able to join the clans and raid with them or PvP with them or whatever. So the clan feature is going to be huge, especially for like raiding if you're a solo player.
Which is good. That's really good.
Yeah,
that's
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing Destiny 1, because I wasn't really with you guys or anything like that, and then so I was by myself, and it was so difficult to try to find anybody to do anything without like having a group of people.
And let's get real, LFG had a lot of crappy people on it, and you can never really know who you're inviting. Like, it doesn't matter if their light score was the highest light score, they can still not be good. No. But then again, you do find people who are really good that carry you through raids and stuff. But
you get the people, or the people that buy their account.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is probably gonna be like, you're probably gonna run into the similar situations with this too, though. Only for the reason that like some clans that you can probably join that they're not like vetting. They're not gonna be vetting these people before they let them into the clan. Like, they're just going to let people join so that it's a good public space. But I don't know, the addition of the clans is perfect for the solo player, only for the reason that ideally it will pair with like, Xbox's like whatever, like the new features that they have, try and just make the process a lot easier for make the process a lot easier for like trying to hop into raids and stuff.
Yeah. And they at the launch, the lady that was talking was really adamant about like trying to keep matchmaking, but trying not to make it so you run into toxicity all the time. And I think that the way they handled this is a really good idea, and I think it's going to really change how matchmaking works in games like this from now on. So yeah. Next up, that is going to be different is the PvP. And they still have competitive multiplayer, but instead of being 6v6 or 3v3, there is only 4v4. And this, I was kind of confused as to why they made this decision, because I didn't really see a problem with a 6v6. Like, I think it's good. Like, I can understand if they wanted to implement, 4v4, but I don't understand why they cut out the 6v6, because some people like... Uh-oh.
Oh, is he gone again?
More technical difficulties. But like I was saying, some people like that there are more people in a game. It makes it more fast-paced, and as long as they keep the maps the size that they are or smaller, I think 4v4 will be okay. But it's all going to depend on the map size. Like, if the multiplayer map size is huge, you can't play 4v4. Like, there are some of their maps, can't remember what they're called, but they have some pretty big maps, and it's like hard to find people even in a 6v6 match. And if you make it 4v4, then it's going to be super hard and super slow. And we were going to talk about the new game mode, Countdown, but did you watch that video? Because I didn't watch that video. Yeah.
No, yeah. I didn't watch it at all.
There is a new game mode called Countdown at the release. There were people that got to play it, and I believe IGN released a video, like a 13-minute video of that. But obviously, since Crisco's not here, we can't really talk about it because he's the one that watched it. So awkward. Next thing. As I said before, there is a beta. How do you have to pre-order it? Pre-order the game for the beta. And what I'm going to guess right now is that they're going to announce the beta dates at E3. That's probably going to be the next thing. I wouldn't bank on them saying, "Oh, hey, the beta's now at E3." I would bank more on, okay, we're in 2 weeks in a month we're gonna have the beta. Make sure you pre-order.
Yeah, for the closed beta, I would assume that it would be not very long after E3. So, and then they'll go to the open beta, because then they'll do open beta for a long time to where they finish the game and then have it ready to go by September. So it shouldn't be too long after E3, I wouldn't think. So I would think like maybe end June, early July, and we'll see. So
I'm trying to think back to Destiny 1 and when they released the open beta for Destiny 1. And I think the game came out in end of September, and I know they did the open beta during the summer, because this was back when I was in college and I was still at home working. I want to say they did it like maybe the beginning of August for the open beta. So yeah, if they're going to do a closed beta, they got to do it sometime in the next like month and a half.
Because closed betas usually don't run very long.
Nope,
they usually
like
only run a couple of weeks. Yeah, I was going to say, it's like a week, maybe 2 weeks tops. And that's just
I would guess it's a week. I know the original Destiny open beta was a week, because I think they had a level cap of like 8. You could go
the beta.
Yeah, you could go through. I'm trying to remember. You did the first 5 missions maybe, and it was you basically did it. You did enough missions that you could play the Devil Walker strike with with Sepix. So I would imagine this is probably going to be something along those lines where like it's enough that you really can kind of wet the whistle and get ready for it, but nothing too much that you're going to spoil the game.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't play the beta because now that I'm thinking about it, I believe that was my last summer at Cedar Point when the beta was out. So I definitely didn't have a life, and there was no way I was playing any video games anytime. But we're going to take a step back here. We were talking about competitive multiplayer 4v4. Crisco, you actually watched the Countdown video. Why don't you talk a little bit about Countdown and the new gameplay? Game type.
So first of all, I actually really like the 4v4 after watching it. I was kind of in the same boat as you guys where I was thinking like 6v6 worked really well, and then even on the smaller maps, the 3v3 worked really well. So I was like, why are they kind of changing it? But I do think the reason that they're changing it is because I think the most fun that people ended up having in multiplayer came in the later DLCs when they started adding maps to the online. And what they were doing was, instead of making these like really expansive and creative maps, they were still making creative maps, but they were really kind of closing the space down, making it more reminiscent of like a Halo map where it was like more corridored and like you ended up in close quarters a lot more often than in some, like, because if you play some of the original Destiny maps, you really are like pretty spread out from the enemies. So I like the 4v4 because I think it means they're going to focus on like the smaller maps, and then maybe down the road they add back in like a ground war type gameplay where maybe it's like more people, like beyond even 12. But as far as Countdown goes, it's basically like it's anything like Search and Destroy, Rainbow Six Siege. Like you've got 4 people and you play until everyone's dead. But and again, I only watched it one time, so bear with me. But I know it's an elimination based game, but I think you might be able to revive people as you go. So if the 4 of you are in close proximity and they take out 2 of you, but the enemy's by himself and you kill him, I'm pretty sure you guys can revive your other 2 teammates. If all 4 of you are dead at once, then, and again, there might only be a certain window for that, for the revives, where you have to do it in a pretty quick succession. But if that's not correct, then it's just basically a search and destroy type game mode where it's elimination based, and I don't know, it's going to take a lot of team cooperation.
That was that's Countdown, right?
So this is Countdown. Yeah. They're still going to have Clash and Control and the popular modes. I could see them maybe they're not going to get rid of Rumble because it's free for all, but like, will they bring back Rift mode? Probably. Like, it was a pretty successful DLC gameplay mode. But yeah, this one's basically like a search and destroy, or like a process of elimination type game mode. But it looked really fun. And I don't know if you guys want to like segue into it, but with like the new weapon systems, sure. It looks like now you can have, I think now you can have 2 primaries. Yep. They've reworked how the weapons are set up to, like a sniper's considered a special weapon still, but like now you get 2 primaries and a special instead of a primary, a special, and a heavy. Or it's still primary, special, heavy, but some of the weapons have like a dual class to them, where like I know a hand cannon can be either. It can be either your first or second weapon. I think snipers now fall into like the level 3 category, so you can have like 2 primaries and a sniper, 2 primaries and a rocket. I don't know. This just makes me some of the changes they're making remind me of like a Halo 2, where in Halo 2, I mean, if you had a sniper, you were just as lethal as someone with a rocket launcher. In Destiny, I mean, I didn't necessarily sense that, only because you had a sniper so often. You still maybe had less ammo, but like you could have even a sniper and a rocket then, and then you were really strong if you're good with a sniper.
Yeah, so when I was watching the reveal, they were very adamant about they wanted to let people have like more of a customization of their loadout. So that was their reasoning why you can have two different primaries. And another thing with that is, for a period of time in Destiny 1, they took away different burn on the primary weapons, and basically what burn means is they have arc burn, they have solar burn, and they have void burn, and these are stronger against some enemies where they're weaker against an enemy that so if you like have an arc burn weapon and you're shooting at an enemy that has an arc shield, you'll do more damage to that enemy shield. And basically for a small period of time they took that away in Destiny 1, but it looks like that they at the end here they brought it back, and it's going to stay for sure in Destiny 2.
So my question with that is, are they bringing it back like they brought it back in Destiny 1, or are they bringing it back like the second time or the first time in Destiny? Because the first time, in my opinion, like if their goal is to let you have a more customized loadout, in my opinion, I think that it should be brought back, but like the original, like the year 1 Destiny, where you had the Fatebringer, you had the Vision of Confluence, you had Atheon's Epilogue, where they were all just legendary primary weapons that had burns on them. Because especially if I'm sure the rule is going to still stick that you can only have one exotic in your in your loadout. So like, I didn't like, because I started playing again for the Age of Triumph.
And it was different.
But so they brought back the burns, but they brought them back as exotic weapons.
Yep.
Which is fine, but then again, like, there are just certain weapons, like the Galahorn, like, for as much as they, like, brought it back and they said they didn't want it to be like it was in year 1 Destiny, where everyone was running a loadout with the Galahorn, like, everyone was running a loadout with a Galahorn. So just by making those weapons exotic, like, you had to find different heavy weapons to use, but at the same time, like, almost kind of defeated the purpose of... Like, they defeated the purpose of trying to re-get the weapons, because if you already had a really good assault rifle or an auto rifle or like a pulse rifle, like, I didn't, aside from the fact that it was raid specific benefits, like, I didn't see necessarily the benefits to going back to try and get the new weapons if they didn't have the burns on them.
So when I was watching the reveal, I made sure to pay attention to the burns and stuff and what the loadout was looking at, but they didn't really show the menu. But I do remember specifically that both of those primary weapons had burn on them that they were using.
Okay.
So I don't know hopefully they don't do it so every single weapon has a burn on it. I really hope they keep some weapons that don't have burns on them, because if every weapon had a burn on them, then like what's the point of having the burns? I still think that they should have some weapons that don't.
Yeah, it looks like they do. I see what you're saying. I'm just kind of flipping through the pictures really quick, because they did go through and kind of like pan over the different weapons in this person's inventory, and some of them do have burns, but at the same time, like, it's like two different loadouts completely. So it looks like maybe your like actual primary, so like the slot 1 weapon, because if they showed them the slot 1 weapons, none of them have burns on them, but in the second primary slot where they have the exotic weapon equipped, all of those weapons have burns. So it might still be the same, where you've got you've got burns on their primaries, but they're still like they can only be equipped in like a special, like the secondary slot or something. I don't know, because none of the original like first slot weapons had burns on.
I'm gonna bring this up right now so we can show.
Which I mean, I'm cool with that. For me, it's just one of those things though, where it's like, if you're trying to encourage people to have these diversified loadouts, like, why wouldn't you want to let them choose? I mean, sure, giving them 3 different burns is pretty ridiculous. And there were definitely times like back in the original Destiny, in the year 1 Destiny, like when it was arc burn for the night. Dude, fuck, I haven't played Destiny in so long, I can't even remember. For the Nightfall, when it was arc burn for the Nightfall, I mean, if you had a Fatebringer, like some exotic sniper like the Patience in Time or something, and then or like a different legendary arc sniper, and then like a Thunderlord, I mean, you could run through that just by being super arc heavy because everything you did bonus damage. But I don't know, like I'm cool with it only for the reason that you can kind of still cover all your bases. But I'm hoping that like the raid rewards or something will bring back the actual like primary burns, because I thought that was a nice touch that they took away.
Yeah, so it definitely looks like there are some that don't have burn, but there are some legendary ones that did have burn. Like there was one legendary primary that had burn on it. Okay. So, next thing, since we're talking about weapons, we might as well talk about the classes. And GameSpot has all 3, so each class has, I'm going to guess 3 different subclasses. They might start out with just 2, because that's how they did in Destiny 1. But now there's 3 in Destiny 1, so it could probably go either way. And this one's still Gunslinger. I didn't even notice that until now that I'm just looking at it. But they changed, and I really like this way, they changed the way the loadout is. So when you choose a specific subclass, you get different passives that you can turn on. Maybe one is your grenade does something. One passive makes the grenade explode into a bunch of different little grenades, where another one might make the grenade explode into a huge area and then come back and do damage on both flights out. And I really like this new loadout that they did. Originally, it was literally just a grid of different items that you could choose, and each row would be a different item. Like the left row was your grenades, the second to left row was, I think, your jump, the third to left row was melee, and then the last row was your super. And then the passives were on the right side. There was like 4 different rows of passives, and then the last one, I don't even remember what the last one was, something different. But I'm going to pull this over everybody's face here and try and get it to line up correctly. These images are, as you can see, provided by GameSpot. That's completely different. And it makes so much more sense to have them the way they do, because you can easily tell, okay, that bottom one at the very bottom is different jump types. That one looks like triple jump, one looks like a directional jump, and one looks like a higher jump. And then the left one, I can't really tell what the left one is.
I'm thinking that's your melee.
Possibly.
Would be
or
my
maybe
guess.
It's the new ability? Because I think you're right.
Do they pan over?
I think you're right. Probably do.
Oh, no, it's like your Shade Step. It's the Shade Step from the Night Stalker on Destiny 1, but it's on Gunslinger now. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I mean, that grid, when I first started playing Destiny and I saw that grid, I just sat there and I was like, holy shit, like, what does any of this even mean?
Right.
And it wasn't until you actually, like, played the game and you started kind of tweaking some of your passives to, like, get the agility and armor and recovery ratio that you were looking for, which actually, like, when you were first started, it didn't make much of a difference, but when you were doing certain objectives, made very much a difference. I like this just because it's clean cut, it's straightforward, like. So,
and
like,
the only reason they did the grid, and I understand why they did the grid, it was because it made sense that that's how you leveled up. Like you don't start with every single ability unlocked and every single passive unlocked. As you can see there with those pictures, there were some that were grayed out, which basically just meant that you can't use it yet. And it kind of seemed like in the original Destiny, you get experience for everything that you do. And the more experience, the more those would fill out, and you would eventually unlock it. And it didn't all unlock at once. It was like one at a time. It went from left to right that you would unlock them. And in here, it looks more like you're going to be using skill points. Like you're going to be able to choose, you're going to be awarded skill points for getting maybe a certain amount of experience, or maybe you do a quest and you get like an experience point or two, or you finish the story and you get a plethora of however they're going to do it. It says you can unlock these abilities. I'm looking at this image right now and it says ability unlock 0 out of 1. So it looks like you're going to be able to customize what you're doing when you're leveling. So in MMORPGs, they give you these different passives and they give you skill points, and you fill it out to how you want to. Do you want to be a leveler? Do you want to be a PvPer? And everything like that. And I think that makes so much more sense because that's what this is. This is an MMORPG shooter, is basically what Destiny is.
That was actually going to be a question I was gonna ask, because I haven't like looked too much into the actual like leveling system, but I like that idea only for the reason, especially when you got into the situation where, like, even though I had all 3 characters, there was a really long time where I actually ran like 2 hunters and a warlock, just because I was trying to get my hunter max level, so I was doing everything twice a week with him. But it was really frustrating when I ended up having like a certain set of like 3 or 4 skills that I really liked. And it was really frustrating to know that like I couldn't have those skills until I actually like maxed out the level for my hunter, but like actually like put in time and like completed bounties with him and like basically had to like redo the entire process. Whereas for this, like if I know there's certain skills that I just want like to be able to just go in and buy those really quick to more or less have the character that I'm used to playing is very refreshing as well.
And I think, as you said before, like you would, so when you in Destiny 1, you would have those 3 different subclasses, and you had to level each individual one up. Like it doesn't, when you're a specific level, it doesn't unlock a different subclass. It's all based on the experience you gain and what subclass you have chosen. So you could have gone through the game, and this is personally what I did when I first started Destiny 1, is I went through the game and I was a warlock and I only used the void subclass. And then when you're getting to raids at the end game, I only had that one leveled up, and that wasn't the good one for the raids. You had to use the other one, so I had to spend more time getting more experience in this other subclass, and eventually the 3rd subclass when they came out with it. And that was just super annoying. Whereas here, I think you're going to have skill points based on level. And I'm hoping that's what it's going to be, because even in an MMO, if you play SWTOR, if you play WoW, you can switch in between those classes whenever you want, basically. You go to see a specific person and they refund all of your points, and you can switch to a different class right then and there. And I think that's a much simpler and more user-friendly way to handle this than what they originally had.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that either, but that'd be a cool way of changing this, because like you said, like there was nothing more infuriating than having like literally, especially when you made a new character like year 2 or year 3 Destiny, when they had all the different subclasses, like it was just like, it wasn't even fun to make a new character because you knew you were going to spend so much time. Like I have 3 characters, and my Warlock and my Titan, because those aren't my original characters, like their subclasses aren't even close to being fully leveled. Like I think I have 1 subclass on each of them, like fully leveled up.
After 2 years of playing this game.
Yeah, I mean, but it's because it's my favorite character, so that was the one, like, if I was just hopping on for 45 minutes or an hour, like I wasn't going to waste time playing on my Warlock or my Titan. I was going to hop in and try and get some stuff accomplished really quick. So
Right.
I like that idea, hopefully, of being able to like spec your character however you want. Or, I mean, I would even be happy with your favorite subclass for the hunter is just because it's here is the gunslinger. Like being able to play a ton, like unlimited gameplay basically as a gunslinger, but always accruing those unlock points and then using them to unlock things in other classes. I'd be just as content with that too, because I mean, most of the time I ended up using just one class anyway, or one subclass.
Okay. Sharky, are you still there? Can you hear us? You haven't said anything in a while. And I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen for this one because Crisco and I were diehard Destiny 1 fans and Sharky not so much. So maybe when we have like the Call of Duty reveal episode or whatever.
I just don't think his mic's working. I saw him. He's messing with I saw him grabbing his old like Turtle Beach headsets. Yeah, I don't think he's. Can you even? I don't even think he can hear. I think he might be able to hear us, but I don't think he can say anything. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen anyways.
We're just a squad full of technical difficulties tonight. My computer's crashed on me like twice already.
I thought about making the YouTube video for last week a different name. I think definitely for this week I'm gonna make it technical. It's gonna be Oldy Gaming Podcast episode 7, Destiny 2, and a shit ton of technical difficulties.
Luckily, like you said, like Sharky maybe wasn't as Destiny heavy as we were.
No.
So I guess
it's
at least works out while he's trying to figure that out.
You can ride the pine this week, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move on now to see ya. Destiny 2 has no plans for the Nintendo Switch. A Nintendo Switch port.
There
he is.
Comms. We have comms.
And
He's back.
So we're talking about Destiny 2 not having any plans for a Nintendo Switch port, and I'm kind of okay with this, mainly because I don't have a Nintendo Switch. But like, there's not really any way they can incorporate the movement of a Nintendo Switch into Destiny, other than the fact that maybe like one time I played Call of Duty World at War on the Wii, and you could like go around aiming and stuff, but I mean that would completely ruin Destiny.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be very good for it.
Well, I feel like this is a product of Nintendo, like, and it's nothing against them because they're aiming at a different market altogether,
right?
With their game systems and their fan base, but like, I think this is also just a prime example of Nintendo coming out with a new console, saying that it's going to be able to compete with, whatever the latest and greatest from Sony and Microsoft are, because they're both usually on par with each other. At this point, like, let's be real, the PS4 is the exact same as the Xbox One. I don't really care what anyone has to say about that, but like Nintendo comes out with the Switch,
Shots
and like,
fired.
but they're already behind the curve.
I don't know if they're.
I mean it from the sense that they can, like, they run the same games. Like, it might be a little smoother, but like for the most part, you're getting the same thing.
I also don't
exclusives.
See the same gaming community or like a gaming community for Destiny in the Nintendo Switch stuff, because the Nintendo Switch is more like party oriented, playing with your friends, local thing. Kids, even
like every other Nintendo console,
right? And I just don't see Nintendo people investing enough time into Destiny to really get the full Destiny effect.
Also, one thing that does bring up, though, like, it poses a problem for Bungie and how they would handle it, but could have been a really cool opportunity for them also, is that if they did bring it out on the Switch, I don't know if you guys remember, if you guys even watched the Switch launch title or the launch trailer when it first came out, they were showcasing people playing like a local game of NBA, like whatever the NBA game was, right? Like 2K18 or 2K17 at the time, at this like outdoor park, and all of their devices were communicating via Bluetooth. Play the game, and like so there's like four of them, and they're all just like sitting there playing. So to me, like that'd be a cool concept for the Switch and Destiny. Would be being able to kind of have like those local raids where like literally like you and your 5 other friends can sit down in the same room and play a raid together, and like
It's
actually like
called a LAN party.
yeah, but it's same concept. But yeah, like your 5 friends or 6 friends, you sit down at your buddy's kitchen table and you prop your Switches up, but like it then poses the issue of like, since it's always on, it's like a perpetually online game, like how do they deal with 6 people wanting to kind of tackle that offline?
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I didn't really expect it to come out on the Switch, so this isn't surprising for me. But I do think if they would have done it, it could have been like I think it could have been a cool thing to actually work in Nintendo's favor to maybe drive some Switch sales up. If you had, I'm guessing maybe more of like a younger generation, maybe they're still like in middle school or high school that are looking to get into it. I don't know.
All
By
right.
any means.
Yeah, I just don't see it going to Switch. And like how you have to be on the internet for this game, and obviously when you have the Switch, you're not always on the internet. You leave your house with the Switch in your hand, and it's like you're not connected to the internet, so what's the point of even playing the game?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying is like, since it's perpetually online, like Destiny's always the servers are always tracking what you're doing.
Right.
So how do they work it out where you've got like 6 people that maybe they want to go and they're like outside, like, well, they're going to lose out on every single piece of functionality for the game. So
Right.
Unless you start taking hotspots with you, like wireless
And
hotspots.
no, nobody's going to do that. Okay, so the next kind of not new thing, but kind of new thing are strikes. Strikes are coming back.
ooh, I'm excited about these.
Yeah, and it seems like the way they were talking about them is it's going to be more like miniature raids. And what I mean by that is in Destiny 1, the strikes were basically follow this path and do this and kill these guys and then go to the next area and kill these guys and go to the next area and kill these guys. Where these new strikes in Destiny 2 are going to be like puzzle oriented as well, because a really good thing that Bungie did with the raids in Destiny 1 is they didn't tell you where to go basically, and B, there were puzzles. There were jump puzzles, there were different mechanics that you had to do, like there's a bridge that you have to extend, but 2 of your players have to stand in a certain area or else you die, everyone dies. And there were different aspects of more than kill these set of guys and move on to the next area. Kill these set of guys, move on to the next area. Kill the final boss, get the loot. And I'm really excited that it's going to be more than just that in the strikes. There's going to be different things that you have to do in order to get through them, other than just kill this mob, kill the boss, and then you're done. Right? Am I speaking correctly? I didn't watch the actual gameplay video of the strike, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. It was like.
So for me, the biggest thing watching the strikes was and I know me and we were talking about it when the videos first came out a little bit, like during the week, is the strikes, because like in all honesty, in the Destiny 1, the strikes, like you said, like they weren't quite the mini raids that they were hyped up to be. It was just like you were literally running on like essentially like a closed path. You were always inside of some sort of building on a closed path. You'd fight through a horde, run to the next area, fight a horde, run to the next area, fight a boss. Which is fine. Like that's how the gameplay is, and that's how it was going to be the entire time. but like every single strike was exactly the same, and they started incorporating some different stuff towards the end of it with like the SIVA clusters and stuff. So it does look like with this one they're going to be getting a little bit more puzzly with it, not by much. I think for the strikes they're trying to keep them still like quick, consistent, like
Right.
20-25 minutes tops, like get in, get out, get your loot. But what I was most excited for with the strikes is not that the players were necessarily doing anything to activate them, but there was just a lot more of like vertical mobility and a lot more like animation that came along with like progressing through the strike. There was a lot of like it seemed like a throwback to like the Vault of Glass, where they were like, you know, jumping off of a ledge, like clearing this massive gap to another ledge to be able to continue the strike, which if that's all it is, that's fine. But it's cool because it's a nice, like, it's not anything like you said, like stand in two spots, open a bridge, cross the bridge kind of thing. Like, it's just enough to like kind of keep you on your toes while you're in the strike. Like, and on top of that, there's cool animations happening the entire time. So in essence, they're going to be the same, but I think visually they're going to be a lot more fun, just because visually, like, there's going to be a lot more going on in them that it's going to keep your attention a lot more.
Plus, if you think about what that adds to the game itself, in Destiny 1, strikes were really the way you leveled your character. Once you get to endgame, strikes are what got you to the max that you could be. They got you that max light level to whatever it was at the time period. Right now it's 400, used to be all over the place. So strikes is what you're mainly going to be playing, and I think in Destiny 2 you're not only going to have to be doing strikes to get to that max light level, but for now, that while we're talking about it and comparing it to Destiny 1, that's mainly what you had to do. And I think adding those kind of puzzles, because it does, just going to a section, killing some enemies, and then going to the next section, killing some enemies, and then going to the next section and killing the boss, it gets kind of boring. And although they have different strikes and stuff like that, and it keeps it kind of entertaining, it still can get boring when that's what you're grinding over and over again. And this, again, what Crisco said, is it's going to keep you on your toes. You're going to have to pay attention to the game when you're doing that, because, you know, if you get the puzzle wrong, you die and you have to wipe, and your teammates are going to hate you.
Yeah, so I mean, like, would I love for them to add like some raid style puzzles into them? I mean, sure, only for the reason that the raids are really fun, and being able to have like a more consistent reward based content, it would be cool. Like, I'm not saying that they need to have chests throughout the strikes, because they don't really take that much time, but like you said, like adding the puzzle elements, like, that'd be cool. But if they don't, like that's fine. It just keeps the game flowing. It keeps it running smoothly. But I mean, just that, for me, the visuals and stuff in general was, throughout all the gameplay, was like the one thing I was most impressed with. Just in general, was they're for sure driving a story. They're trying to drive a better story than the original Destiny story, because there wasn't one. And I think they're kind of building all of the other gameplay facets around it. So I'm a huge fan of that.
Sharky's having a really good time with his finger right now.
Oh, I am.
Just molesting your face with your finger there. Okay, so...
Wait, let.
Oh, okay.
Hold
You
on.
first.
Oh,
Go.
so
Comment from the
what
peanut
I'm
gallery.
reading yeah, I know. So, like he was saying, I'm not, like, I didn't get huge into Destiny or anything like that, but from what I did play and stuff like that, and then from what I'm reading and stuff like that, it seems like a lot of like the Destiny oneers and stuff like that from the first year or whatever like that, they don't seem like they're too impressed, because all, like, I was reading comments and stuff like that from what everybody, they're all saying like the strike stuff, they said it's just like, it looks literally like a recycled version of Destiny 1, and they're all pretty upset about it and saying that it could have just been released as like a massive DLC rather than an entirely new game. So.
But there are things like going back to the skill tree, basically what it was. That's in Destiny 1. The difference between Destiny 1 and the skill tree in Destiny 2, you can't really implement that into an old game. You have to make a new game, because that skill tree in Destiny 1 is like a foundation, basically a foundation of the game that you can't really change in a DLC or an update or whatever. You have to make a new game. So it's like a while ago, I remember talking. I don't even remember who I was talking to about this, but or maybe I even heard it somewhere. Destiny was a great game, but there were things that you can't change in the game that need improved. And I don't think Destiny 2 is necessarily Destiny 2, but it's basically taking the positives from Destiny 1 and the negatives from Destiny 1 and making it into a better game, improving on the negatives and maybe changing the positives a little bit so it's not the same repetitive thing.
So you're saying it's more like a Destiny 1.2 rather than like a Destiny 2?
Destiny 1.5, I guess.
1.5.
But like there are things like strikes and raids and stuff that they can't change because that's part of Destiny.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was gonna say, like it's literally a core mechanic to the game. Like if you don't have strikes, like what else? Like realistically speaking, for the type of game that it is, more raids, because the raids are just so time consuming. Like you have to have a team of 6 and you have to like sit down and spend a lot of time doing it until you get efficient at it. Then you can run through it. But like if you don't have the strikes, like realistically for this kind of game, like especially because like I hate to say it, because it is like a first person shooter MMO, like so much that they can do from a creativity standpoint, or what you're doing no longer makes sense. And what else could they do besides a strike or a raid? Like, right. I think that's just people nitpicking for nitpicking's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to make the comment. I think that's a bullshit excuse those people are making.
Yeah.
No.
If you like the first game, like that's the strikes are a part of it, and like to be honest, I'd be more upset going into Destiny 2 if there weren't any strikes and it was something completely different. Because at that point, it's like Destiny eventually does become a game where you just want to hop on for like, even if it's like 2 or 3 hours a day, which I'm sure Bungie's stoked if like every day of the week you hop on even for just a few hours, like it becomes a game where I just want to hop on, grind like 3 or 4 strikes really quick, try and get some new gear, and then hop off and go to bed. So I can't think of anything else like that they could add in place of a strike. I do think maybe there's some stuff that they aren't telling us is in the game, which I would welcome.
I'm
that.
sure there's stuff up their sleeve that they haven't told us about. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll still learn a lot more at E3. So
yeah, like maybe there's a little like instead of raid or strike, like instead of it being a full raid, maybe it's like, you know, a little bit more like a puzzle based like mini raid or something where you do 4 people instead of 6 people, but it still match makes, like where it's different than a strike. But I don't know, like that's what I mean. Like even if you do something like that, like that's still just a glorified strike because it's not a full blown raid. So it's like not really any middle ground for this kind of game, I don't think.
All right. So do we have anything else to add for Destiny?
Hold on. I just want to double check real quick. I feel like we covered mostly everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited. My lasting thing is I'm just excited to see where the story goes, because I know that was a huge letdown for most of the people that played the first Destiny, and they really didn't hit their stride as far as the story goes until like second or third DLC maybe. Like it took them a really long time to get like some semblance of like characters that you liked and like building characters. The story was interesting enough originally to get you through the game and like get you to level 20, but that was pretty much it. So I'm excited to see them actually have like a fully fleshed out story, like with characters that like develop across it. Like I don't know, I'm excited to see how that pans out.
Yeah, me too, because you in Destiny 1 your character like says 4 words and it's pretty annoying, and you just listen to your ghost the entire time.
Dude, R.I.P. Pete Dinklage though.
Pete Dinklage ghost.
I know. Yeah, he's not actually dead, guys. Everyone calm down. Yeah, that was still the saddest change that happened.
Yeah, because he got popular and he probably got too expensive. But anyways, that's it for Destiny 2. It's getting kind of late, but do you guys want to quickly go over the rest of this stuff this week, or do we want to let it at Destiny 2?
I don't care. But before we move on, I would say before we move on, what we should say is the main question, and what we're gonna have to debate over is whether we're gonna do it for console or PC.
I wanted to talk about that too.
I would say that's gonna be the hardest thing, because I don't know, because you don't know how it's gonna be on PC. You don't know what type of community is gonna be on the PC and going with it, and
I'm just nervous that the PC people are gonna be way too hardcore for my liking, where I know I'm bad. And I don't play it like but like I don't. My thing is like I don't play. I'm okay with them like sucking me in and me playing the game for forever. I played the first Destiny for probably like a year before I stopped playing it. Like that game fully held my attention for a very long amount of time. My concern is that like I'm not very good, and then once we have these huge gaps between DLCs, like I do actually stop playing. I do stop playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded weird when I said it, but. But like, so I go in these stints where like I play and then I stop for a really long time, and then I play again and I try and like power level my character really quickly, and then I jump right into the raid, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm just nervous that like the PC people over time are gonna be like super hardcore, and they're like they're never gonna stop playing Destiny, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna be like a child playing a game against LeBron James in basketball.
Yeah.
Just like they're gonna be in a different league.
It's the master race, man. You gotta. Either you're in or you're out. That's pretty much master race. Is gonna just poop all over you, or hack their way.
Part of it too is the original. Although it's more or less disbanded, the original Destiny raiding crew is on Xbox, but most of them are disbanded at this point. They're fed up. So
well, you know what? We gotta make a new one because now I'm involved. So
you're gonna play Destiny with us?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Destiny 1.
Oh, I have Destiny 1.
Yeah, but not the DLC. So, yeah, I am, as far as I am right now, I'm still on the fence because, especially when it comes to PvP, I think PC is going to be very difficult and a lot harder because as I've experienced things like Overwatch and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, I've actually quit Overwatch because it's so much harder on the PC, and I just got like really screwed in the point where I'm at, and I don't even play it on console right now. So I'm interested to see how the PvP aspect of it is. But then again, I think about it, and like I don't even play multiplayer that much on the Xbox anyways. So I'm pretty much on the PC fence right now. I'm on the PC side of the fence right now because I want better graphics than the Xbox, and I love the Battle.net thing, and I love that they're putting their game through Battle.net, and I'm all aboard on that and whatnot. But mainly graphics. I'm slowly becoming a graphics snob, and I vowed to myself a really long time ago that I never would, but it's kind of happening, so we'll see.
That would be my only reason for wanting to get it on PC. Like you said, is like I would have to upgrade a few pieces for sure, but to just like push the game, like run it at its like highest quality, and just literally sit there and just stare at it and just look at how beautiful it looks, because I know it's going to.
Yeah, because even Destiny 1 on the Xbox was amazing.
Yeah. Well, I know too. I don't know. I'm sure they'll have it worked out by then. But this was a article about the PS4 Pro and Destiny 2. And again, I think because of where the stage it's at in development, like they're still polishing everything and like fine tuning this kind of stuff. But like they said that actually, like even the PS4 Pro, which is like the top of like at this point, since the Xbox Scorpio is not out, it's like the top of the line console at the moment. Like even that console was having trouble in certain areas of Destiny 2, like running it at like max frame rates, like max graphic settings. So they're gonna have to go in and like really like optimize how it runs on consoles. So my concern would be almost that like, are they gonna do too much to the game where like, although they don't do it intentionally, it ends up like kind of throttling the game at certain points in time? Because they said that like the PS4 Pro like wasn't getting, which I don't necessarily believe, but they were saying that like it wasn't getting in the really big areas, like wasn't getting above 30 frames a second, which I have a hard time believing because it's got pretty good specs in it. But again, part of it too is if you're basing that stuff off of maybe like a computer version of that console, like obviously those games are optimized differently for the consoles versus. So we'll see. But that would be my concern with maybe getting it on consoles, that in the long run, like, am I gonna have to, if I'm gonna have to upgrade my console anyway, I might as well just get it on PC.
You're getting it on PC, right, Sharky?
I'm thinking about it. It probably all depends on who all is getting it and where. That's probably going to be most influence, because I don't want it to be like the original Destiny, to where I don't play with anybody, then I just grow bored of just playing by myself and not doing a whole lot. So I'll kind of listen, see what everybody else. I like the idea that it's going to look pretty. I like that it's easier to remap all your buttons and all that stuff like that on the PC, so you're more comfortable playing the game, have everything set up the way you want to, rather than being kind of restricted to a controller. So
although you still might play controller, won't you?
Oh,
Mr. Controller and Siege Man.
If I start a game with keyboard and stuff like that, then I'm used to it. But like, say like Rainbow Six, that's the only game I use the controller for that you're referring to or whatever. But I started on the console with it, so I'm comfortable with all the controls and stuff like that. Whereas in like every other game I play with my mouse. Like PlayerUnknown, I play it with my mouse and stuff like that. Counter-Strike, I play with my mouse. Everything, League of Legends. What else do I have? World of Warcraft. All with my mouse.
I would maybe play Destiny with a controller, but that's just me.
See, I had that thought, but like, no. It's just, if I'm gonna play on PC, I'm gonna play with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah,
it's nice that you have that option.
I mean, I still haven't had because like the only first-person shooter or the only shooter I have is PlayerUnknown Battleground. So like, and we play that, you know, maybe a few times a week. Where like I'm still just not used to playing games on mouse and keyboard versus controller.
Yeah.
Where unless I feel more comfortable come Destiny time, like it's just gonna feel more natural for me to pick up a controller and jump into it. But by then I'm sure I'll be in a different mindset on that.
All right, so let's close the book here before we keep talking about Destiny. E3 is coming up soon. We'll talk about it more then, but probably that the E3 episode is going to be interesting because there's going to be it's E3. There's going to be so many things to talk about. But yeah, we're
so excited.
We're closing the book. If anything else comes out on Destiny, we will definitely talk about that. But as for now, shutting it up and moving along. I'm just going to rattle through a couple of these things real fast here.
Sweet.
Xbox One Gold stuff. The free stuff has changed on the 16th. The Xbox 360 sale is going on. There was one other thing.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, I think tomorrow's the...
So you want backwards compatible games.
Also, this weekend... Actually, I think it's over now, but this last weekend, Xbox Live was free. Xbox Live Gold was free for the weekend, and also Minecraft was free for the weekend. But first...
Damn, I missed Minecraft.
Yeah, I own it, so you already have it. Anyways, the free week... or the free month games for Xbox One and 360 all month was Janus Sisters, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris for Xbox One started free the 16th. Go out and grab that. Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 is no longer free, so if you didn't download it, you're SOL. And Star Wars, Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga is now free for the Xbox 360. It's also backwards compatible, so you can still download it on your Xbox One, and I would really suggest downloading Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga because it is a ton of fun. If you have kids, it's fun to play with, all that good stuff. But I just bought it on the PC for like $2, so I'm not going to be downloading that on the Xbox, and I'm going to try it on the PC. Also, the Xbox One backwards compatible sale is going on. Let me see if I can find... It doesn't say when.
I think it goes until tomorrow. It goes to like Tuesday, like Tuesday morning. So I think it was they ran a full week from like the 17th to the 22nd or something.
Right.
I checked it out, dude. Games are like dirt cheap right now. So if you have any backwards compatible games you want, go grab them.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Because they're dirt cheap. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are still like only like $5 off, and they were already $20, which is stupid. Also, if you have Amazon Prime and you have a Twitch account, link them. You can link those two things. And when you have Amazon Prime, you also get a Twitch Prime account because Amazon owns Twitch. And now a thing that Amazon Prime, or Twitch Prime, I guess, is doing is giving away free games every month. Free games, there's sometimes like codes to get VC or like currency for a specific game. RuneScape, there was a month free of membership for that. But this month I don't know if they're doing it month. It hasn't really seemed like they're coming out with it month. It seems more like 2 weeks. But a new game has come to it. It's called Titan Souls. It's kind of like if you know what The Binding of Isaac is. It's a top-down shooter where you have different rooms that you go into and you clear enemies. And then maybe you'll get like a different weapon at the end of the room, and you go on to the next room, and eventually you find the boss and you kill the boss and you get more loot, or you go back and you buy some different guns and stuff like that. They're pretty fun. They're not really for me. I don't really ever play these games, but there are people that get pretty hardcore into these kinds of things. So that's for that. What was the other thing that I said? Oh, yeah. Xbox Live was free for this weekend. If you didn't know that, sorry, I didn't know that was coming last week. But at this moment, I believe you missed it. So yeah, there's that. So those are those things. Staying on the Xbox train, there's a new Xbox One update out. And this doesn't really... One of the things doesn't really apply to me, which is... You can, if you're in what are they called, clans or groups or whatever.
It's like, yeah, it's like a group.
If you're in a specific group with like your friends, or maybe you joined it because those guys are fun to play with or whatever, you can see who's streaming on Beam now. And since I'm an affiliate, I can't stream on Beam, so there's no point for me to even care about this. But you know, it's out there. Also,
I think that was the only like major takeaway.
Well, no, there's also the tournament tab. So Xbox has tournaments, and people can set up tournaments for specific games, whether it be Injustice 2 or, you know, whatever. They're player-based tournaments, and then there's like, I'm sure, sponsored tournaments where you can actually win money and whatnot. And it'll send you a notification when the tournament's coming up. When the tournament starts. I don't know about when you play for that notification, but I guess you'd have to see. Oh, I guess it's...
Team Avatar is back.
We gotta follow.
Water, earth,
Nice.
fire,
Hello.
Oh, I was trying to read the X. Another Soldier, what's up, man? Thanks for the follow, and welcome to Team Avatar. Thanks for tuning in for this podcast. We're trying to wrap it up here real quickly. But anyways, I guess it's just for the game Killer Instinct. That's what I'm reading right now.
That's what I was going to say. Like, that's why.
It's not
like, I think
game.
they're just testing it out, though.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come to other games soon. But yeah, I guess that's a thing.
I mean, that really could, just like, not to get too far off topic, but like that really could be a great tool for games, you know, sports games, Madden, NBA. I mean, Injustice is, yeah. Well, the only reason I think Call of Duty is a little bit different is because you're playing with more like, and they'd have to maybe develop like a team function for it. But like Killer Instinct is like, it's like strictly a 1v1 like.
Well, there are 1v1s
easy,
in
like,
Call of Duty. You can 1v1.
Yeah, there's 1v1 tournaments all the time.
I personally don't see Call of Duty as like a 1v1 game. This jumps out to me for like sports games where it's, you know, they've got like the nationally televised like Madden competition where the finalists play on like a big screen TV in like fucking like downtown New York City, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like I don't know if it'll get to that extent, but I think it's a cool tool once they flesh it out and be like a fully compatible thing.
And then there's one more thing to the update, and you and I had talked about this before, but from now on, when you're at a party, you can turn on an overlay that shows when the people in your party are talking. So maybe if there's new people, obviously on this podcast, you can tell when whoever's talking because there's video, but you know, when you're playing Xbox, you can't really see who's talking, and now you'll know who's talking when. So if you, hey, this, you know, the name sounds familiar, but I don't know this guy's name, but he's funny and whatnot. Now you'll know if the person turns that on. I have yet to turn that on. Yeah. I'll have to do it soon. And you know,
it's
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is you can pick the location on your screen, and you can pick the transparency level as well. So like it works out really well for streamers where like for you, I know you've got like a couple of overlays that you run while you're streaming that it lets you, you know, you can kind of pick that outside of your overlays in a different spot. You can make it so that maybe it's less noticeable or more noticeable. But I think, like you said, the best thing about it is everyone that plays games like has their kind of like friends that they don't play with very often. So they're more like special guests, but they more or less just like come into the chat and say funny things, and they might not even be playing the same game. Like it just kind of lets everyone see what's going on. But convenient that they're launching that with this new edition of seeing who's streaming.
Basically, it makes it so your community is a little bit more tighter and everyone knows who everyone is. So, Soldier, your question is, what's up, guys? How often do you stream? So this is my stream. I stream almost every single day. We also podcast every Sunday, usually around this time. We try to start around 11. There are technical difficulties that sometimes happen, and we don't. But yeah, so we'll be podcasting every Sunday if you want to tune in. I also post it. I have a YouTube channel. I highlight it in Twitch. I have Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. If you follow me on all those platforms, you can see what's up. So yeah, that should answer your question there.
But it games daily.
Yes, I do. I play PUB. I play SWOTOR, League of Legends, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I just bought that. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. There's other I also play. Those are all the PC games. I also play on Xbox, like Wildlands every once in a while. 2K. What else do we play on there? Whole bunch of stuff. I have a variety.
Mass Effect Online.
So the podcast isn't anywhere other than on Twitch and YouTube. I don't have an RSS feed. I don't want to pay for an RSS feed yet. So you can find it. It's just Oldy Gaming Podcast. You can search me in YouTube for Oldy Gaming. Or I believe down below in my description on Twitch, you can find all my social media links there. All right, so let's move on. I invited one of our community members, Reinhardt, as some of you may know, has been very excited about Injustice 2, and I invited him to come on the show, but unfortunately he was a little busy and he couldn't come on. So you bought it, Crisco. I haven't played it yet.
It's
Have
hard.
You played it? It's hard.
It's hard. Ooh.
Is the story good so far?
Yeah, I mean it's what you'd expect. Like there's some sort of conflict. The one thing I like about it personally is that there's a lot of like references, like comic references that like, as long as you know a little bit about like the characters and like who like their main villain is or something like that, like you'll pick up on them. Like it's not really anything that's like too far over anyone's head. But it's nice because like it's quick banter. Like they have a couple of like quick jabs, a couple quick smart remarks, and then you like step into the arena and you fight. So like, is the story good? What you expect?
I mean, the first Injustice story was really good. I really liked the first Injustice story.
If you like the first story, then you'll like this one. But like, this definitely isn't one of those games. Like, just because of the type of game it is, like,
but
it's not going to be a game where
right?
you're. Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, there's for sure cutscenes. But like, what I'm saying is like, if you're expecting some sort of like Witcher type story where like, you know, it's super long and drawn out and like, you know, it's a real adventure, like you're not going to get that story, but for the type of game it is, like the story's awesome. Very comic, like very comic heavy, very comic friendly. It's engaging enough that like you want to finish it, and like that you're actually interested while you're playing. Yeah, but the gameplay itself is hard.
I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to download it and play it.
Yeah, this is also my thing. Is this is also my first time playing a game like this, so I wasn't a big like Mortal Kombat person. I didn't play The Last Injustice, and I didn't play DC Universe versus Mortal Kombat, and they've all got that very like in-depth directional mixed with button mashing like combo system. Or if you know how to string all of that together, you can literally just stop your enemy from being able to attack and kill them without them trying, or like without them being able to hit you. I don't know how to do that. So my thing is I'm just frantically like pressing buttons and like flicking the sticks around, kill things, but I'm also playing on easy. So I feel like that's kind of warranted.
Yep.
It's really fun. The one thing I was worried about with it was the item system for the characters. Once you get to level 20, it's not as noticeable as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I know.
I've been up a lot.
No, this is just real quick. Like the loot system, there are maybe some issues with it, but overall, I think it's actually a cool system that pays off more end game than when you're leveling. Holy shit, this game is really hard.
Cool.
I haven't played a game like that, I think, since it was an Xbox free game. It was like DC versus Marvel or something.
Mortal Kombat.
It was Xbox free, and I got it maybe like 2, 3, 4 months ago or whatever like that. And I was just playing because I haven't played a game like that since Mortal Kombat. That's the only other DC game. I don't think they've done a DC versus Marvel.
No.
I know DC. I know they did it. It's DC versus Mortal Kombat because they're on the same publishing.
Or it's
license.
Marvel versus Capcom, but I don't. Yeah, those are on Xbox.
No, those are two different games.
I know.
Like very different. Well, yeah, but like two very different like styles and.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Anyway.
The Overwatch first year anniversary event is kicking off this week. I forget what day. 23rd? 26th. 26th, which is, what's today? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like Thursday is when it starts, and I think they usually do all of that. So don't expect me to play Overwatch anymore because I'm retired and I don't care. But there's
DC
new
Universe Online. That's what it was.
Oh, that's not a fighting game, is it? That's not a fighting game.
Yes, it is.
No,
that's an MMO.
That's like SWTOR.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, never
Yeah.
mind. Then it's not a. What the fuck? I'm just trying to look through all my games. Never mind. Keep going.
Also, the Witcher TV series is in development for Netflix. It's going to be a Netflix exclusive, which is cool. I mean, I've never played a Witcher game, and I don't really care about what the story is, but it's really exciting that a game is getting turned into a TV series, and that's another step forward for the gaming series.
It's going to be a cool.
My
guess is it's going to be a really cool spin on like a Game of Thrones type series, especially if it's a Netflix original. They are going to be like they can make it as as graphic and as ruthless as they want to, which I'm hoping they do. The games themselves are very graphic and very brutal, so I hope they kind of follow that route. But yeah, I mean, if you just look up like the story for like The Witcher 3 or something, like the concept of it's cool, so this should be a pretty good show, especially if Netflix is backing it and putting their money into it.
And then, yeah, that's another thing I'm excited about because Netflix, the one thing good about Netflix is their exclusive content that they make. And lastly, for this week, last week we talked about a Wild Wild West game that's kind of like Red Dead Redemption, but it's an MMO. They have, since their reveal last week, they have gotten a huge increase from investors, and they don't need a Kickstarter anymore. So it looks like this game is going to be in full development pretty soon here. It's going to come out later this year, and it's going to be probably pretty awesome. Although the only thing I'm concerned with, the only thing I'm concerned with is bullet sponge people in a Wild Wild West game is going to be pretty annoying, because like you have to have like revolvers, and revolvers are annoying to reload, and when you have to put 200 bullets into a boss, that's going to be annoying. But maybe you'll have maybe they'll do abilities. I don't really know. This is going to be interesting, and this is definitely going to be a game that I'm going to look into the beta to see how they handle this, because I'm wondering if it's going to turn into like almost Destiny, where it's a third person or maybe it's more like a third person shooter, because most MMOs are third person. That's like a shooting MMO, or if you're actually going to have like 20 abilities and a bunch of passives and whatnot and skill trees.
To me, like this is just speaking less about what they're actually going to do, but me speaking more from the time frame that they're going to be releasing everything, is they almost have to do something like that, because if they don't, like if it's just a story driven like Wild West like shooter, Red Dead Redemption.
No, it's an MMO.
Coming out this year.
It's definitely going to have like raids and stuff, I'm sure.
I know that, but like how you were talking about like abilities and stuff, like if they don't have abilities, like there may be raids where there's like puzzles and things involved, but like I think if they don't do enough to like separate themselves from like maybe more realistic, if they're trying to take a more realistic approach, it makes having those kinds of abilities harder, just because they can't get like too like dish with them. That if they don't, it's going to basically be a mirror of Red Dead Redemption 2, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of having a feeling that it may be similar to The Division, maybe. Although, again,
it's such bad timing on their part. Like
reloading a revolver over and over again when you have to put 200 rounds into a boss is going to be really annoying and dumb.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had. I'm personally like, just because of the time frame. I'm thinking back to the original Red Dead game, and you weren't just using a revolver. Like you were using. I mean, they were more like like single shot rifles and stuff. But like you were using guns that weren't just. But I agree. Like if. Like they gotta have like maybe there's like a different sort of mechanic that goes into the boss fights, because if it's not like
maybe they're more puzzle oriented, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. In itself, so a little bit easier. It's still like geared based on how many characters you're playing with or people you're playing with, but like to get to them, you have to do it. Yeah, I'm cool with that. That'd be fun.
Sharky, you got anything to add? You've been awfully quiet again.
No, yeah, I'm good. Something like you said, I'll check out on the beta and stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
My thing with MMOs is like usually I'll be super interested in them for like a month, 2 months, and then like play it for like an hour or two, something like that. But anything more than that, I start getting like burnout. Like, come on, what's going on next? Let's get some action going or something. So we'll see if they start changing that. Maybe this game will. I don't know. I'd be interested. I'll try beta at least, especially if it's open beta.
All right, that's going to conclude this week. We'll see everyone next week.
Crisco out.
There you go.